I'm Ezra Feldman, and this is Head Case Psychology for the Rest of Us, and today's topic is the optimization trap. So, there's a guy I know, Mark. About a year ago, Mark discovered self improvement. Someone showed him a podcast about dopamine, and within a week, he was wearing a sleep tracking ring. $400 to be told how he slept, which he already knew because he was there. He eats the same breakfast every day. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He does breath work. He takes a supplement stack that would make a biochemist nervous. He hasn't eaten bread in 4 months. And the thing is, it worked at first. He lost weight. He had more energy. People at work noticed. He felt sharper, more disciplined, more in control. And because it worked, he did what any reasonable person does when they find something that works. He doubled down, more metrics, more tracking, more optimization. If 3 supplements helped, 7 must help more. If tracking sleep improved his mornings, tracking everything must improve his entire life. Now, 8 months in, Mark is miserable. His sleep score drops to 71 and it ruins his entire morning. He eats a piece of cake at his nephew's birthday party and spirals into what I can only describe as a nutritional panic attack. He hasn't spoken to his brother in 3 weeks because his brother called at 9 p.m., and that's when downtime. He's optimized his body into a machine and his life into a spreadsheet. The machine is running well. The spreadsheet looks great. The person inside it is quietly drowning. This is what I call the optimization trap. And I want to walk through why it happens, because the answer is not what you'd expect. The first thing to understand is that optimization is a concept borrowed from industrial engineering. It means maximizing output while minimizing waste, given a set of constraints. This is how you run a factory. You want more widgets per hour, fewer defects, less downtime. The entire field of operations management exists for this purpose, and it has produced extraordinary results. Your smartphone, your car, the supply chain that delivered your coffee this morning, all products of optimization. But here's the problem: you are not a factory. Your life is not a production line. Your life is a messy, contradictory, multivariable system with dozens of competing values: health, intimacy, meaning, pleasure, novelty, rest, connection, purpose, silliness, and these values do not cooperate. They conflict, they trade off against each other in ways that cannot be captured by a single metric. When you apply single variable optimization to a multivariable life, you don't get improvement, you get distortion. You get a life that is maximally efficient along one axis and catastrophically impoverished along every other. I see this constantly. The man who has his macros dialed in, his workout periodized, his sleep score in the 90s, his HRV optimized, his nootropic stack tiered for circadian alignment, and he hasn't called his mother in 3 months, hasn't been on a date in a year, hasn't laughed at something stupid on a Tuesday for no reason since before he started wearing the ring. He's engineered his body and neglected everything that makes having a body worth the trouble. Now, the second problem is more subtle. When you treat yourself as a system to be optimized, you split yourself in two. There's the optimizer, the manager, the engineer, the part that's tracking and measuring and adjusting. And then there's the optimized, the body, the behavior, the output. You stop being a person who lives and start being a person who manages a person who lives. And this split is not benign, it's corrosive. There's a framework in psychology called self determination theory, Desai and Ryan. two of the most influential researchers in the field, which identifies three fundamental psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When these are satisfied, people flourish. When they're thwarted, people suffer. And here's what's remarkable: the optimization mindset systematically undermines all three. Autonomy, first, you're no longer choosing your actions, your metrics are. You don't go for a walk because you want to feel the air. You go because your step count is 3,000 short. You don't eat because you're hungry. You eat because the app says you need 40 more grams of protein by 8 p.m. Now, the third and deepest problem is what I'd call the instrumentalization of experience. When you're in the optimization mindset, nothing is ever just for itself. Everything is in service of something else. The morning routine isn't for waking up, it's for peak performance. Meditation isn't for being present, it's for reducing cortisol. Cold plunges aren't for the bracing, miserable thrill of it. They're for mitochondrial health. Reading isn't for curiosity, it's for cognitive enhancement. Every experience becomes a means to an end. And a life where everything is a means to an end is, by definition, a life without a present. You are always preparing, never arriving. It's the psychological equivalent of being on a treadmill. A great deal of effort, a great deal of metrics, and you never actually go anywhere. Kierkegaard noticed this nearly 2 centuries ago. He observed that the person who is always becoming never actually is. The optimizing self is always becoming fitter, sharper, more disciplined, more productive, but it never arrives at being because being would require stopping. And stopping in the optimization framework feels like failure. So the process accelerates. Be means consume the ends. The trap closes. But here's the part nobody wants to hear. A lot of this isn't even real. You know, the guy posting his 5 a.m. cold plunge every morning. He took that photo at 7. The supplement stack on his Instagram isn't something he takes, it's something he sells. The aura ring is jewelry. The whole performance is an identity, not a practice. And here's what's interesting: the performance and the pathology are the same disease. Whether you're genuinely tracking every metric or just pretending you do for the algorithm, you've turned your life into content. You've instrumentalized your existence. One group is drowning in data, the other is drowning in performance. Both have forgotten what it's like to just be a person on a Tuesday afternoon doing nothing for nobody. Now, there's research behind this. A 2024 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that self optimization on social media is primarily status and identity enhancing signaling. People performing optimization to cultivate social status, not to actually optimize. The performance is the product. You are the product, which, when you think about it, is a fitting end for a culture that turned everything into a marketplace. It finally got around to turning the self into one, two. So, what's the alternative? Let me be clear. I'm not telling you to eat garbage and watch television all day. That's not the alternative to optimization. That's just giving up. The alternative is a shift in posture from optimization to cultivation. Practically, this means several things. First, unstructured time, time that isn't for anything, time where you're not producing or improving or optimizing, just existing. This is not wasted time. This is where your brain integrates experience, where meaning consolidates, where you become a person rather than a performance. Second, doing things for their own sake. Go for a walk without the tracker. Read a book without highlighting. Have a conversation without extracting a life lesson. Eat a meal without logging it. Radical, I know. Third, stop asking, how can I optimize this? And start asking, what does this organism actually need to thrive? Notice that the second question is harder to answer with an app. That's the point. Now I understand the appeal of optimization. I genuinely do. It offers the feeling of control, and control feels like safety. The world is chaotic and unpredictable, and the idea that you can engineer your way to a better life through measurement and discipline is deeply seductive. But the seduction is the trap, because the thing you're trying to control, your own experience, is the one thing that becomes most distorted when you grip it too hard. It's like trying to see your own eye by staring harder. The effort itself makes it impossible. The counterintuitive truth is this: the people who live the richest, most effective lives are almost never the ones optimizing hardest. They're the ones who've learned, sometimes through painful experience, that the most important things in life cannot be optimized. Love, creativity, meaning, connection, peace, the feeling of being understood by another person. These things exist in a different domain entirely. And the language of optimization is simply the wrong language for that domain. You can't optimize a friendship. You can't optimize a sunset. You can't engineer your way into genuine joy. You can only cultivate the conditions and then let it happen. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this: stop trying to make your life a machine. Start trying to make it a garden. Machines are optimized. Gardens are cultivated. And the best things in life grow. They don't get engineered. As always, I appreciate your support and thank